Hey guys, it's Dee Wiley with the Heart Headed Way podcast. Thank you guys for joining in. Today, we will be talking about the unplanned journey. Being a mom is hard. I have two boys. They are 10 years apart, and the issues and concerns and things that I had with the oldest is completely different than I had with the youngest. And so, in my whole journey to try to expand my network, my village, I wanted to talk to a mother whose journey I've been watching online. And I want to introduce with you guys today, Selestria Watson. Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Yo, this is my first recording in person. And so y'all have no idea how me and Celeste been trying to get our lives together right now. So, Celeste, before we jump in to talk about the unplanned journey or your unplanned journey with motherhood, I have to talk and ask you about, are you a heart or a head? Do you lead with your emotions, your heart, or your logic, the head? I am a self-proclaimed head.
Oh my gosh.
So what are you?
I'm totally opposite. I am definitely a heart.
Are you serious?
I am. I mean, everything flows, which sometimes can be a good thing or a bad thing, but everything really flows from my heart.
Really?
Emotions, yes.
Oh,
yes.
Lord Jesus, yeah. This is going to be an interesting day. No pressure, no pressure, no pressure. Okay, so I want to thank you for joining me today to talk about, and I don't know if I said your son's name earlier, but Jordin is her son's name, and he is a ball of absolute joy. And so watching your story about Jordin and I think you call it your journey for Jordin?
Jordin's journey.
Jordin's journey. And so I want to talk about Jordin's his being. How did you come to learn about Jordin being special needs? Tell me what your first introduction was to that.
Great. As some of you all know that may watch the podcast, Jordin has Down syndrome. We did not find out that he was going to have special needs until he was a month old. So my pregnancy was fine. Checkups, ultrasounds were fine. Everything was fine. Then when he was born, he had an issue with jaundice. If some of you all know about that, it's like the yellowing of the skin and things like that. And so they sent him over to Baptist Health in Little Rock, and they had him in the incubator thing or the light to get the whatever light he needed to stop the jaundice. Well, when the nurse came in, she heard his heart. Well, she listened to his heart and she said, okay, I'm a little concerned. So I'm going to send somebody else in here to get them to listen and see if they hear what I hear. Well, the second nurse came in and it was on from there. They sent in texts. They did an echo, cardiogram, EKG, all of that. Well, come to find out, Jordin only has 2 chambers in his heart. Well, normally, we have 4 chambers. He only had 2. And they showed me where the oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood were mixing, which was a bad thing. So they airlifted him to Children's Hospital. Once he got there, they were, concerned. They were like, we're going to have to do surgery immediately, open heart surgery, because we don't know if he's going to make it. So then, I was like, okay, I just had a baby. So mind you, I'm still postpartum 4 weeks, still trying to recover. So his pediatrician said, well, we're going to do some genetics testing because the heart condition that Jordin has is normally seen in kids with Down syndrome. And they said, well, he doesn't have any physical features, so we're not worried. We just want to rule it out. Yeah. Right? So they did the testing. Week or 2 later, the doctor called me. And all I heard was Charlie Brown. Womp, 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 womp. My mind. Because she started weeping. And she said, Celeste, she said, are you sitting down? I was like, yeah, I'm sitting down. And she was like, well, the test came back and Jordin has Down syndrome. I heard nothing.
Really?
I heard nothing after that. I was like, what? because I don't know, we'll talk, get to talking about it in the
Sure.
podcast. But my thoughts with Down syndrome was not a young 25-year-old mother.
Yeah.
Most times we think of Down syndrome, we think of older white women. So I was not in denial, but it was so hard for me to accept the diagnosis because he didn't look like a normal kid with Down. My pregnancy was fine. But to answer your question, that's how we found out. It started off with jaundice, and the ball kept rolling from there.
Wow. And so nothing showed up during your pregnancy at all.
Nothing.
Wow.
Absolutely nothing. All my testing came back, and even with pregnancy, as you know, they do different tests to see if the child has any genetic issues or any signs of disabilities and all that. Every testing that I did came back home.
Wow. So you were 25, and now you have a new baby that's been diagnosed with Down syndrome. So what does that look like? What does your normal look like? Because, returning to work, childcare, how did that look for you at that point?
Well, once we found out that he had Down syndrome, and I knew then that he was going to have open heart surgery, they wanted to wait till he was 3 months old or at least 12 pounds. Well, at that time, I had already, I took a leave from work because I knew something was wrong. This is during the pregnancy, like close to the end of the pregnancy, because Jordin was born early.
Okay.
So I started getting sharp pains and just was not feeling well. I was constantly in and out of the ER with nausea and vomiting and all that stuff like that. So I had basically took a leave from work. Well, once he was born and I found out everything, I just decided not to go back. So God, this is a God thing, because God rests, my grandmother's soul that just recently passed away. She told me, she said, well, Celeste, she said, I know you can't go back to work because you want to be there with your baby. She said, have you thought about going back to school? And I was like, by this time I already had a bachelor's. I was like, I'm good. I don't want any more education. I'm fine. Well, I thought about it and I said, you know what? Just being transparent. I was like, I can get a refund check.
Hello? Listen, you joking. Listen, my last few years, I was like, I'm going to enroll just because I need the refund check. Listen, I get it. 100%.
So as a mom and as a single mom, we do what we have to do to take care of our children.
That's right.
And I learned that from my mother and my grandmother. And so that was something that I said, okay, well, I'm going to go back to school. So I went back to school, went and got my master's degree. And so during this time, mind you, I'm in graduate school with a baby that's getting ready to have open heart surgery. So he was 3 months old, had open heart surgery. I was literally, the nurses and doctors could not believe it. I was sitting in the NICU with my child with books, laptop.
Wow.
I graduated with 3.8.
Come on now.
In graduate school.
Yes.
And that's how life began, the journey for me of like, no excuses.
Oh my God.
No, my faith that had been instilled in me from a young girl. I knew that this was not going to be the end of quote unquote the journey. So I knew that I had to keep going. And so even though Jordin was in the hospital for about 3 months, I could not, and it's funny, I could not cry. I did not cry. My mom and my village and his dad, he probably don't want me to tell, but it was hard for them. But for me, it was like, I have to keep going for him. And so life for me it was about him. It was about me making sure that he was getting everything from me that I could give him to thrive and survive. Wow. And so for me, it was about, like I say, just beginning the journey of no more excuses. I can do it.
Girl, you gave me a lot. And it goes on further, I guess, for me to just see how resilient mothers can be, single mothers, because I've been there. And it's like you just go into this mode of no excuses. I don't have time for the distractions, and you get it done. And it just says a lot to me about how that stage is everything for Jordin and the life you have for him at this very moment, just for the level of independence and being able to be away from you and do things on his own. And so you talked about being at the hospital and books, laptop, everything. That was in autopilot mode. At some point, was there an overwhelm after he comes home, after he's getting a little older, going into a toddler, walking? What does that, was there ever a moment of overwhelm for you?
Absolutely. It happened, I think he was about 2 years old. I was in his room, cleaning out some boxes and cleaning out some paperwork. And so I ran into the folder, because if anybody knows me, I'm very detailed. So I keep
welcome to your village, girl. This is your village.
So I keep everything. I kept when the doctor came in, when the doctor left, what medications he was on, what nurses he had. If this nurse said one thing, this nurse said, I kept everything. And everybody was just like, how are you doing this? But anyway, make a long story short, I found the box that I had at the hospital. And in the box, the nurses had taken pictures of Jordin for me when he came out of surgery.
Oh, wow.
And it was hard because they were like, well, when you see him, you know, he's going to be swollen from the fluids and he's not going to look like your little baby who you're normally seeing, you know, so he's going to look a little different. I opened the box and I opened the book that the pictures were in.
Oh.
And it's like in that moment, it became real.
Oh, wow.
Because like you said, I think I was moving. I was moving on autopilot.
Yeah.
You know, because I was like, okay, I got this baby. I got to keep going. I'm in school. You know, people are depending on me. I can't fall apart.
Yeah.
Well, when he got to the point where he, you know, somewhat became independent and I knew my village was there, I think I was able to finally breathe. And I took it in and I sat in the floor in his room for 2 hours.
Wow.
Weeping, talking to God, like just in disbelief in some. I will say this, the word isn't disbelief. I was almost disappointed.
Come on now.
With God. Because I'm like, Lord, I tried to do everything right. I go to church, you know, as they say, I do the church thing.
Yeah.
I'm in the youth ministry. I'm a young adult vice president at church. You know, I try to do right by people. And in that moment, I felt like, why me? Why my child?
Yeah.
And I know I had people around. I'm like, now, you know how you get like, what I know, why my child when I know what they, you know, out here. But that was also, at that moment, I didn't know what it was. But I'll talk about it later when I came to realize that that was some pride in me. And that was some hypocritical things within myself that I was judging other people, thinking, why not them? But yeah, I sat there, probably he was 2 years old. And that's when I sat there and I broke for a minute.
Girl, you just came all on my portrait that one. Because it's natural to me to compare. And it's natural to say, well, their child is already doing that. My child isn't doing that. Should my child be doing that? And, or, you know, you got the kids that don't have to study and they could just show up and make straight A's. And my child struggling with reading, or, you know, physically, some kids just come out the womb and they know how to run and do all that. And then you're like, well, my child, you know, got to work hard at that. And so it's such a natural thing to compare our lives And so you are not alone in that space. And to keep it 100, to your point about it being pride, for me, I struggle with that because I was like, because I was so focused, especially with Jonathan, and he had some learning issues. I felt like I was so focused and driven to make him be, my thing was I want him to be self-sufficient.
Yes.
I may not always be here. What's going to happen to my child if I'm not always here? And I struggled. No lie, Celeste. I felt like I was robbing him of his childhood at some point.
I can relate.
For me, I was an adult. I'm trying to give him all my lessons I done learned right there, and making sure he can do things on his own. But at the same time, I remember him telling me one day, he was telling me a story, and I was like, you a little old to be having that kind of story. He was like, Mom, I think it's okay to have an imagination, and I felt so horrible. Aww. And so it's I can hear you say, I can hear that sitting and reflecting, and you like, why am I having to carry this thing? Right? So I 100% understand. Yes. And so here, how old is Jordin now?
He's 15.
He's 15? Oh my gosh. I did not realize he was 15.
Yes, he is 15.
Oh my gosh. So let me ask you this, because I watched Jordin from a distance, and he is so loving.
Oh,
his interactions are so amazing. What has been the greatest thing you wanted to make sure you poured into Jordin?
To have a heart for people.
That's good.
To have a heart for people.
Yeah.
To love people. And then also basically just to care. Like, I don't want him to, because sometimes I think I can be too caring. So I don't want him to be taken advantage of, but I want him to have a heart like Christ, where he loves people.
That's good. That's good. And so he's 15, he's in middle school. How do you set expectations, not just for him, but for the kids that are around him, for the teachers, as to how you want them to interact with him, and what's helping Jordin, and what's let Jordin do it on his own? Like, how do you set expectations for that?
I've been blessed with, Jordin has been blessed with a great village of people. And I don't just consider his village family. I don't consider his village, just consider his village friends. I consider his village his teachers, his paraprofessionals, his therapists, his friends, people in the community. That's the village. So what I try to let people know is that treat him like he's a normal kid. Don't limit him, because I think what happens is that our own limited knowledge will stifle his growth. So I always tell them, like, if you have Joe doing 20 jumping jacks, Jordin needs to do 20 jumping jacks. Don't say, oh, well, he's gonna do 2 or 3. No. So I've always told people, treat him like he's a normal kid.
That's good.
Even if he is very, loving and touching and things like that, let him know, like, Jordin, hey, I don't want to, just give me a fist bump today or something like that. That way he can set those boundaries and things like that. So when I talk to his teachers and paraprofessionals and therapists, I always let them know, get him, challenge him.
Yeah.
He has to grow. He has to learn. He has to know what he can and cannot do. And he has to have boundaries as well. So I just give people to, basically, like I say, just treat him like he's a normal kid.
I like that. And I want to flip it a little bit now, then. Because I can come up with 1,000 things that I get offended about on a regular basis.
Yeah, I do too.
What has been something that's occurred that's been offensive? And offensive in maybe they just didn't know any better kind of way. Offensive in it was just an inconsiderate thing. Like, what has been something that you've had to address just within you to say, I got to figure out how to navigate this space better so it doesn't create issues for Jordin, but also so you can set boundaries for people if they cross a line? How has that been, or what has that experience been when you've had something offensive to occur?
Well, we've had several instances, and I really think it's because what you said, some people just don't know. They don't know.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, Sean, because most of the people have not been children. It's been adults.
Wow.
Right? So so I'll give an example. Won't say any names, won't say the school.
Sure.
We had an instance where Jordin attended aftercare at a school. He's elementary. And at this point, he was kindergarten, so he was like 5. And so, being with having Down syndrome does cause some intellectual delays and things like that when it comes to the normal things that maybe we'll say I hate using the word normal,
Sure,
but just a child that's 5 and that's on the regular spectrum.
Yeah.
So he ended up having an accident in aftercare, and it was the number 2. It was the number 2.
Yeah.
And because he was playing and didn't want to go to the restroom. Well, the aftercare person told me. So she called me and said Jordin had an accident. I was like, okay, well, change his clothes, stuff like that. She told me, well, I'm not trained to change his clothes. So my mom goes to pick Jordin up, and he's still sitting.
He's still
soiled.
Are you serious?
Yes, in his clothes. He was not wearing pull-ups, diapers. So imagine you as a person sitting in your mess. So I was, as they call it, 38 hot.
Baby, 357 hot. That's just crazy.
And so I tell you how God, I'm telling you how he works things out for me. Sean, I was on my way to the school that day. I was like, I was like, I don't really like going. But at this day, I was fed up because I'm thinking in my mind, if this was your child, if this was your grandchild, how would you feel knowing that your grandchild or child has been sitting in their own feces for over an hour? Okay. So God opened the floodgates of heaven where it started raining so bad to get to the school. So my mom got there before I did. Thank God. And she told the lady, she said, "You better glad my daughter didn't do it." Yeah,
it's a wonder mom may not have did that too, though.
This is before Christ, okay? This is no, I'm just playing. But so when I got there, and I talked to her, I basically explained to her what I told y'all. Like, what if this was your child? And what if this was your grandchild? Would you want somebody to say, I have not been trained to take off a child's clothes with changing clothes? Now, mind you, because kindergartners, they made us bring change of clothes for accidents. So in my mind, I was thinking, did you not want to change his clothes because of his disability?
Wow.
So,
and it's not like she didn't know this.
She didn't know. I mean, yeah, it's not like she did not know.
Yeah, exactly.
And so she was just saying, so of course they make excuses that she was overwhelmed that day. And I'm not going to say that was an excuse. Okay. It's aftercare. You got kids running around everywhere. She was overwhelmed. So she couldn't, she didn't have the time to do it, come to find out. But that was a learning moment for her because one thing about me is I try to bring it down to the human level.
Yeah.
Like, what if that was your child?
Yeah.
Atypical, no disability or anything. What if that was your child?
Even because they get sick, they have diarrhea, they throw up.
So that was my thing. I was like, okay, he's sick maybe because he doesn't regularly use the restroom. So that was one example. But there has been several where I've had to really just bring it down to a human level for people and say, what if this was your child?
Yeah.
Or, what if this was somebody in your family or something like that? So I've had a couple instances where I've had to bring people
them
back down. Yeah.
And make this a teachable moment.
Right. Where it's just like, okay, yeah. So, but thank God, I will say this, that I have not had a lot of those experiences.
That's good.
And the ones that I have had those experiences with have literally come back years later. They still follow us on social media and all that stuff. And they'll say, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Because I did not know.
Really?
I did not know. It's almost like they treated him like a chandelier or a nice piece of china, where they were afraid that they were gonna hurt him or break him.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to get the knowledge and get the resources that they need to be the best that they can for him, it was almost like walking on eggshells with him.
Wow.
And so that was something that I learned too, that sometimes people just don't know.
That's true. They don't. And for you to take a moment to step back and make it a teachable moment, God bless you. Because that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard, because to your point, who wants to sit in feces for an hour? And I for every reason that people can come up with or whatever, I just feel like you remove the humanity out of a situation. Like, where is just the basic common courtesy? And so that's really eye-opening. And because I would go on record to say just about every parent has had some kind of offense to occur on some level with their kid. And so kudos to you and your mama for not going up there and burning the school down.
Because Ben couldn't get there either. So
let me ask you this. What would you say is Jordin's greatest strength?
Resilience.
Really? That's good.
He is the most resilient kid.
Oh my
human
gosh.
that I know. The way that he bounces back from things, and I'm like, I would still be broken. I would still be like, what? He doesn't.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
He is the most resilient human being I know.
What do you think you're learning from him?
How to love.
Ooh.
How to love without conditions. This child.
Wow.
I always say on some of my posts, or some, people follow me on social media, sometimes I'll say, Jordin is God's love towards me. Because it's been times where, when he was 2, I told you about the breakdown, but it's been several, I'm being transparent, several little breakdowns that I've had. And Jordin will come out of the blue and just say, Mommy, I'm okay.
Wow. Are you serious?
He'll say, Mommy, I'm okay. God loves you. And I'll be like, huh? Okay.
Girl, he's laid out in this floor will be me. And I call myself a self-professed fan, but listen.
I'm telling you, the way that he loves, I mean, the testimonies or the different people that have come to me and say, Jordin's hugs are like, I'm telling you, it's like an angel. It's like God's love wrapped in flesh. And that's something that he has taught me, and I'm still learning. It's how to love people without conditions.
Girl.
And he forgives so quickly. Like, he'll be mad at you. And then the next moment he's like, okay, now let's go play, or let's go do something. And I'm just like, I don't know if I will bounce back that soon. So that's something that he has really shown me. And I think, and I know, I keep saying I think, and I know that's why God gave me Jordin, is to show me how to love without conditions.
I love that, Selene. I love that. So how has Jordin progressed further than the doctors and nurses all said that he would?
Sean, yes. Oh gosh. I mean, I'm telling you, he defeats all of the odds.
Really?
Set against him. When Jordin was this is when he was going to the Allen School. Shout out to the Allen School. If anybody knows about the Allen School, they were such a blessing. That was the first school that Jordin went to. It's kind of like a daycare school. They get them ready for general education or regular, elementary. But that's a school for kids with special needs. So when he was there, he was somewhat on the spectrum where they thought he was going to have cerebral palsy.
Okay.
because Jordin didn't walk till he was probably 2 or a little over 2.
Okay.
And so, he was on a walker. He had braces.
Really?
Yep. And my
Y'all,
mom,
and that ain't what he looked like right now. He down there on the basketball court. Like,
I'm
Jordin
telling
is moving
you.
fine.
God is good. And so they were saying that he, because of his muscle density, he was looking like he had cerebral palsy. So I tell you about, like I said, my village, and I don't say this lightly. It was a physical therapist that was at the school, and she was going to retire, and she said, "I will not retire until he walks." What? This lady worked with him and the grace of God, where he walked. They said he wouldn't walk. He's walking. They said Jordin wouldn't talk. He would only be able to say 2 to 3 words, sentences, intellectual. They had him on the spectrum of being, I guess you can say, I don't know if this is the right term now, please forgive me, mentally retarded. So they were on the spectrum where he wouldn't be able to learn. He wouldn't be able to say 2 to 3 word sentences, didn't know if he was going to walk, projected to have several heart surgeries or different things. Jordin has only had 1 heart surgery in his life.
Shut up.
Every time we go, they are amazed. Y'all, when I tell you that the hand of God is on him, they are amazed because they say if you listen to his heart now, you wouldn't even know he had a heart condition.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Wouldn't even, his echoes, his EKGs, everything. Most kids with Down syndrome also have issues with their thyroid. Jordin has never had issues with thyroid.
Really?
They have spinal injury, like spinal issues. Jordin has never had spinal issues. Everything, eyesight. He just now, I don't really even know if he needs the glasses, but he just now got glasses. Most kids with Down syndrome have vision impairments. Yes, he doesn't have those really. So basically everything that man tried to say that he cannot do.
You better come on, girl.
He's doing. And so so when you say, are there things that they said that he could not do, and he's doing everything that they said he could not do. He's doing.
I mean, and honestly, it's so surprising because I'm seeing the end. I'm seeing where he is right now, and where he is right now, none of that would be believable to even know that was said. So in that tone, let me ask you this: what would you say to a medical provider, doctor, nurse, therapist, on how they could better approach a parent like you? Is there a different or better way you thought some things could have been done as far as setting expectations for? And I get it. I know that they're not coming from a bad place, but sometimes I think that they're so looking at the science of it and they forget, again, the humanity part of it. And so would you make a suggestion? Is there a suggestion you would make to people in the medical field about dealing with a mom who has a special needs child?
Goes back to what you said. I'm a also shoot it to me straight type of person.
Yeah.
So when it comes to medical things, so like you said, bring it down to layman's terms. Also have compassion.
Yeah, that's good.
You're giving a parent or anybody a diagnosis that they may have never heard of. It's life-changing, not only for the parents, but the village of people. So I was always to the fact of, tell me what it is, tell me what to expect so I can let everybody else know. So my thing is, it just goes back to what you said, just be human, and I know that, like you said, they have medical degrees, medical licenses and stuff, so they know all these terms. But once again, that's why I say I know this was a God-given journey to me. We have been really blessed.
That's good.
With some great physicians and specialists that's good. When I talk to them and when they see us, it's almost like their family.
That's good.
It's almost like their family. So But for any other parents, I would just say to the medical professionals and people in the healthcare industry, just make sure that you have compassion and just slow down a little bit.
That's good, because a lot of people walk out of there and have no clue what the doctor is saying, and not even clear on what the path to help even looks like sometimes. And so I'm always interested, especially depending on the lane everybody has to deal with the doctor, what are their challenges, and that communication or that compassion and stuff is something that's always a miss. And again, I know that it's probably not intentional, but it's like you got into this field to help.
Yes.
I feel like having some care
Yes.
in the midst of that really carries some weight. For me, it even helps with trusting you, and how you handle me with sensitive information.
Absolutely.
And so with the mom that may be new to learning that they have a special needs child, I have a cousin that's going through that. I hope she's okay with me saying that, but she just recently found out about her daughter, and I think she is about 6 or 7. She's just now finding out about some things. What would you say? What would you suggest to her? Because in my head, I'm really sure that there's overwhelm, because now you have a name to what's been going on, but then it's also dealing with whatever that name is that you've been given. What would you suggest for them, or for her even specifically?
To breathe. Just breathe. I didn't want to get emotional. It's okay. It's okay to ask for help.
That's good.
And just know that your baby and your child, and I guess that's why journey is my thing. It's like they have their own journey. They have their own journey. And I think what happens with moms, with kids, with special needs, is that we compare our kids to other kids.
Yes.
And so it's like, well, my child is 6 or 7, but then Letitia's son over here is 6 or 7, her daughter's 6 or 7, and she's in gymnastics, or she's on the cheer team, and she's doing this, and my baby can barely walk, or my baby can't focus, or my baby can't this. But once you get past that and you realize that my child has their own, everybody in life has their own journey.
That's right.
And so just like I say, the main thing I would say, just breathe. You'll be okay. Find support. Find your community of people, and then also know that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay. And I think that's something that I struggle with too, is that I was afraid to ask for help because I thought I was going to be a burden.
Girl. Listen, you are with your village today. Absolutely.
And then especially having a kid with special needs, you think, okay, like Jordin has to have all of his liquids thickened, and at one point he was on puree food, and all that stuff. So I was like, I don't want to be a burden to anybody, but not realizing that it was people there that wanted to help. They just didn't know you needed the help.
That's all right. That's
right?
Good.
And so just breathe. It's okay. It's okay.
That's good.
It's okay. Find your people and ask for help when you need it.
I like that. That's good. So, a journey for Jordin. What is it?
Okay, so Jordin's journey, it's an LLC that I just started. Hasn't even gotten off the ground really yet, but God has put it on me for so long. And it started with me during Down Syndrome Awareness Month. We have October. And then also, it's also recognized in March as well. And so during those months, I try to give people a myth, a truth, and a transparency moment about Down syndrome.
I love that.
Yeah, so I started doing that on my social media pages. And so This lady that went to church with me, I don't know if she wants to say her name, but anyway, she just doesn't know the deposit that she put into my life, because she sent me a message, and she said, you need to put this stuff in a book. Wow. Or you need to do something with this. She said, because it has opened up my eyes in so many ways that I thought that I knew about, Down syndrome or people with Down syndrome,
Sure.
that I had no idea about. And so I was like, okay, Lord, what you want me to do with this? Because I was just doing social media. And then I was like, okay, so it wasn't Jordin's Journey at first. I used to do a hashtag called Nothing Down About Jay.
Oh, I love that.
There's nothing down about Jay. And so probably last year, I was thinking like, I got to get this. That's too long. I got to shorten it up. There's nothing down about Jay. That's long, if I wanted to start branding. And so I was sitting on the couch, and I was just like, I want to tell people about this journey, about Jordin and stuff. I want to tell about Jordin. And so my husband was like, just call it Jordin's Journey.
Come on now.
I said, that's it. And it's like a light bulb went off about Jordin's Journey. And so that's where Jordin's Journey the name came from.
Wow.
I've always had the vision and mission of the thing that I want to do is I want to help mothers who look like me, that have kids with special needs.
Yes.
And it's not even, I'll take this back, not even mothers, just guardians, parents that look like me. Because when I first found out about Jordin having Down syndrome, I'll just be honest, every support group that I found were older white women. And
that's the reality
and their
of
kids,
it. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so I'm in these chats and in these groups, and they're talking about things that by this time I was back working. I was in school working on my second master. So I was like, how can they relate to me?
Different journey.
Yeah. They have totally different journeys.
Yeah.
Single mom,
Yeah.
So I'm like, how can they relate to me? And so it's so many things that on this journey that I found out with Jordin by God putting divine connections in my path, that I want to be able to share those resources with other people, to say it's stuff out here for us too. And your village is here too.
Yeah.
And your support is here too. So that's the purpose and the mission of Jordin's Journey, is to provide resources, support, anything that I can help with. And I mean, it's not even support groups. Like, how do you sign up for Medicaid? How do you get TEFRA?
Yeah.
So I didn't even know what TEFRA was. Really?
That's amazing.
I had no clue. And I was working for the state at that time. And I was like struggling trying to pay, medical bills. Mind you, he just had open heart surgery.
Right.
Been in the hospital 3 months. And so I'm like, like I say, those divine connections, I say those God winks, that he will send somebody in your path to see you and to let you know that he's there. And so, I just want to be that for somebody else, to know I see you and God sees you. And just, to provide the support. And also, we're going to hopefully be selling merchandise and stuff. And then we're going to take 5% of that and give back to the Arkansas Down Syndrome Association.
I love that.
And so be able to just give back to the community, but also spread awareness and acceptance and support for people who look like me.
I love that, Celeste. That's pretty cool. So I got one, maybe two questions left. Because I am learning that the older I get, and I see what's happening around us. As of this recording, yesterday, Memphis police released the video of the Nichols boy that was beaten by the police. And so we have Black boys.
Yes.
What is your worry about Jordin's future?
Wow. I think it was when Amir Rice, the situation happened with him. I think that was a young man who was running through the neighborhood. So it's so funny you say that, because Jordin and I used to go outside quite a bit, when we were quarantined, had to do COVID, but I wanted to get him out of the house, and so we would go walking and running around the apartment complex, and we had a lake out there. So one day I just happened to snap a picture of him running. And so I went and I looked at that picture and I broke down.
Wow.
Because I think not only does my son, not only is he a Black boy, but he's a Black boy with a disability. Jordin is so friendly. And his dad is LRPD, East Little Rock Police. So he's friendly to the police because he always says, my daddy is the police, right? So whenever he sees a police truck or a police car or something, he's like, there go my dad, you know? And so my fear is that Jordin eventually is going to be a big Black boy, right? His skin is already going to have a strike against him. Then if you go talk to him, he has an intellectual disability. So he may not be able to comprehend everything you're saying. So you may be telling him, put your hands up, and he may say, why? Not knowing that he's doing anything wrong. So my fear is that that's going to happen because Jordin will be independent. Jordin will be able to go to college, be everything that God has ordained him to be. He's going to do that. And so my fear is that he's going to run into somebody who doesn't see Jordin, but sees a threat. And so that's something that's so hard for me because I'm like, would he be able in a situation like that to even try to talk himself?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is absolutely, my concern. And while I don't know that I always tell people that, so Peyton is a little bit socially delayed. And so he's big giant. And so you see older and he ain't.
Yeah.
And so my concern is he you know, silly 13-year-old who may or may not comprehend the seriousness of a situation. And you know, I always tell him, you know, when we talk about stuff, I need you to make sure you understand this, ask questions. You know, I'm trying to, and I have yet to bring myself to, I saw the beginning of the video yesterday. I couldn't watch it. I mean, it's just, again, the word is, there's no humanity. And when I heard that they said that man screamed out for his mom, I was like, I can't watch it. But my biggest thing is, my child may not understand. And I don't, you know, and then Jonathan is older and he's 24. And so while he may understand, I also know, to your point, he automatically has a strike against him. And so, you know, a conversation he and I have all the time, you know, is you got to temper your getting mad. You got to temper how you, you know, respond to frustration. You don't, and it's so unfortunate, you know, you want to be healthy and acknowledge your feelings. If you have an emotion, and I'm not saying like hit the wall or do something, but sometimes your response ain't going to be poised. And so it's a worry for me that I don't know will ever go away. And you know, you thinking, long as your kids, like you said, he independent, can do for himself and all that, there's still just this, you know, nobody walks out of the house to be killed. No, you know. And so that's good to hear your voice to that, because again, I don't know that we as moms have an answer. I think at best, this is where the village comes in. You know, if I'm not around and Celeste around and there's something going on, hey, get Peyton over there too. Just make sure, and we'll do. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the whole, we grew up that way. That's right. Where we had that village, and you know, I you know, got disciplined many times by other people's parents and things like that. But I felt good, I felt safe, and I felt comfortable. And so it's, to me, that is one of the things that is missing in a lot of our worlds, is that community and that village space, because you know, we've grown up, we've gone apart, and we're not as in each other's space as much as we used to be. And so I can hear everything you say on that, but it's just, you know, it's just the plight of a
Yeah.
Black mother with a Black
Blacks,
boy.
I'm
You know,
telling
that's
you.
that's just what it is. And
Mhm.
so my last question for you, and you kind of hit on this earlier,
Mhm.
what has God taught you, or what is he teaching you
Mhm.
in this journey with Jordin?
Like I said, he's teaching me how to love. And also, one thing that Jordin, I just thought about this. Wow. He's teaching me how to just be me.
Mm,
And it's okay.
that's good.
It's okay.
Listen.
I'm telling you, that just dropped on me because when I think about Jordin, even when I see him on the basketball court with the basketball team and stuff, like he doesn't care that he waving up there in the stands at his mama. He 15. Like,
Baby, I saw him blow you that kiss, and I teared up. And I'm not emotional. I told Corey, I was like, did you see what Jordin just did? I said, he blew her a kiss. And I'm looking for you. I was like, let me see what she doing.
Listen.
Oh my gosh.
And so when I think about that, I just said, when I just see him around his peers or family or just people in general, he's himself.
Mm.
And I said, not only is he teaching me how to love without conditions unconditionally, he's also teaching me it's okay to be Celeste.
Gosh.
It's
Listen.
okay.
Celeste has come and blown me out of the water. Look, and I'm looking down, y'all, because I actually printed out questions because that's just what I do to make sure I don't miss anything. And I feel like, oh my God, like
this has been good.
This has been really good, and I'm so thankful that you were comfortable enough to come and share.
Yes.
Because y'all, so I know Celeste, but I don't know it, right?
Yeah.
And so Celeste knows my aunt, but it was the journey for Jordin that caught my attention. Mm-hmm. I've been watching, when it was Down Syndrome Month. Mm-hmm. I watched all that, but it was the journey for Jordin. And I walked away one day after you had made a long post about him. Mm-hmm. And it just stayed with me. And I was like, I want it. And so we were supposed to record, y'all. This is supposed to air back in October, but life happened. Mm-hmm. Life was lifing, as the kids say.
Right.
And I'm so appreciative of you sharing this. And a lot of what you said, especially in talking to a new mom, I have to connect you with my cousin. Okay. Because I think this last year of becoming aware of what it is, and now trying to figure out where do I go from here. Mm-hmm. You got to find the right school. Yes. Because she's a single mom, working, all the things. Mm-hmm. You got to figure out how to balance that, so you don't have to leave work every 5 minutes when something's going on. And so I know that can be challenging. Yes. I don't care what the child's journey is, but being in this new space and your whole journey for Jordin and being a resource, that's exactly what it is. There are no resources that look like her, that meet her where she is, right? And so a lot of the things that she's seeing, I don't know that they particularly fit her need or address her specific need on how to address the gaps in care and education and all the things and healthcare overall. And so I'm so glad to hear what you're doing with and how you plan to grow Journey for Jordin. And so will you share some of your social media handles so people can come check out Journey?
Sure. Facebook is Selestria Watson. Selestria, I'm pretty sure she'll have it spelled out for you, but Selestria Watson. And then on Instagram, it's at LessiePoo82.
I love that.
And TikTok as well. TikTok is also LessiePoo82.
Gotcha. All right, y'all. So I want to reiterate some things Celeste said a little while ago. Is for our children, they all have their own journey. It does not matter whether they are here, Black, white, tall, short, special needs, not special needs. They all have their own journey. I am so thankful that you shared with me today. I appreciate you stepping. Look, she came over and I didn't know it was raining either. I did not know it was raining.
Listen, it's okay.
Y'all, I did not know it. I'm so I felt even worse. She was like, I'm running late. I'm on the couch nodding because I did trap and spin this morning. That's a whole nother thing we'll talk about later. But y'all see my head? My head gonna look like this for a while. because I gotta get this weight off me. So this is the life
Lord,
right now. Yeah. Listen, come on. Right now, we may go have a drink now after. But thank you so much, Celeste. Guys, please subscribe, like, follow at The Hard-Headed Way on YouTube, audio podcast, Google, Apple, Spotify. And I have a page, thehardheadedway.com. I need to do some work on it. So I need y'all to give me some grace right now because I'm still trying to build all of this and I'm trying to do it on my own and learn on my own. And so I think you said something about I'm trying to give myself some grace because I work every day. And so I'm tired and don't always, it's hard going from working to be creative and all that other stuff. And so God bless you. Whatever you have to do to get everything stood up. But she talked about starting a podcast, which I'm so excited if you do that. I can't wait to see how that goes. I'm support all things. But again, thankful for my village and the people that are in it. Thank you so much, Celeste.
You're welcome.